Now, that wasn't true. Every time Persephone had been asked, she'd proudly announce 92 pounds, which was the honest answer. The responses she received were always filled with astonishment and a sense of awe. But the question had always come from a woman. Close to 80. Now, what do I win? Persephone finally answered sarcastically. Patrick held the joint in his fingertips and put it in front of her face so she could take a hit. Nah, that's all right, Persephone said to his gesture. You don't smoke weed? Shit, I hope you ain't no crackhead, Patrick joked. No, it's just that I don't want none right now, okay? Persephone said, sounding firmer than she'd intended. Patrick took a few more puffs and put the joint out on top of the tin. He then removed the robe and stepped into the tub near Persephone's feet. As she moved her feet over to allow him space, the side of her left foot brushed his body in the water, and he tried to playfully grab at her toes. He wanted to joke around in the tub and kept threatening to fart underwater by asking if she wanted a 2 second whirlpool. I think that's disgusting, Persephone bellowed. Then she got out of the tub with more force than necessary, splashing enough to lick out one of the burning candles. Hey, girl, Seth, Patrick called out through his laughter. Persephone had grabbed the fluffy drying towel she'd laid out for herself, wrapped it around her body, and was out the bathroom door. She'd partially toweled off and was about to return to the bathroom for her clothes when Patrick came into the bedroom where she was. Persephone didn't want him around her naked. He might pull the towel off and start critiquing her stretch marks. Persephone! Hey, what's up, girl? Why you take off like that? Patrick seemed shocked. The water was getting too cold, Persephone lied. Try again. Patrick stepped over to where she was seated on the side of the bed and gently put his hands on her shoulder. What's up? You got a problem with the weed? No, it's not the weed, Patrick, she said hesitantly. Then what? Patrick gave her a buddy hug and tried to look into her face. She was holding her head down and didn't want to look up at him. I know it's not me asking you about the weight, he queried. I just think that that is such a personal thing to ask somebody. You know, I lost weight. Can't that be good enough? Should you want me to get on a scale? You want to know just how big of a pig I was? Persephone almost spat out the words. Wait now, hold on. If I'd known it was such a sensitive subject to you, baby, I wouldn't have said a word. I just thought you were members. I thought we were in the same club. Now I know in the future that I can't go there, okay? Patrick was stroking the back of her neck with one hand and using his other hand to gently rub up and down her arm. Now come on. I didn't know, baby. Come on. Patrick, sorry, all right? He whispered tenderly. The hand that had been stroking her arm now raised her chin and forced her to look into his eyes. Persephone had never considered what gray eyes looked like up close. It was something that was never an interest to her. She could remember yesterday thinking how strange his eyes appeared, almost cat-like. She'd wanted to giggle when she almost told Patrick he had cat eyes. Your eyes look like marbles or something, she blurted out. What? My eyes? Patrick was taken off guard. I don't know. They look weird, all gray, and did you know you had little brown flecks in them? Persephone couldn't stop herself. What? Oh no, brown flecks. Somebody better call the police or something, huh? Patrick teased, so I'll close my eyes, and he did. Now is this better? And your eyelids look like a plucked chicken's butt. Persephone said, now gazing at his eyelids. What? Patrick quickly opened his eyes and looked at Persephone in open mouthed amazement. Well, they do. Ain't no use in me trying to lie about it. Persephone felt better already, knowing she'd rattled him a bit. You tripping, Patrick said as he headed for his closet and pulled out two white terry cloth robes. From what the left breast pockets of the robes indicated, one was from the Hilton and the other from Caesar's Palace, probably from Las Vegas. Persephone thought as she quickly pulled the robe over her body and tied the belt. Oh, I see what this is. Don't start no shit, won't be no shit, huh? Is that what this is, girl? Patrick was pulling on his robe, and although he crossed the panels, he didn't bother with the belt. I was just being honest in how I felt. So sorry. Persephone felt defensive now. She hadn't expected Patrick to call her out like he did, and your hair all straggy looking like a wet. Persephone was surprising even herself. She seemed to feel better with each insult. Oh, yeah? Well, what about your kitchen that's napping up your ashy ass hands? And how about your big troglodyte feet? Patrick said and snapped his fingers twice in the air with a swish swish motion. Persephone gave him a look that said she wanted to kick his ass. And Patrick looked at her like he had no idea what her problem might be. Well, if it's like that, then maybe I should just get my stuff and leave, Persephone said, feeling as though she was having an out of body experience and some other person was now doing all the talking. Get your shit and get to stepping, baby, if it's like that, Patrick said with a theatrical wave of his arms, which causing his robe to open up, allowing Persephone a brief glimpse of his pubic area and the base of his dick. Persephone stomped past Patrick and straight to the bathroom, where she'd left her clothes. They were lying in a heap at the foot of the bathtub. They were wet. His stupid ass stepped on my shit when he got out the tub. Persephone fumed to herself as she marched back into the bedroom, and then, when she found he wasn't inside, into the living room. You got my shit wet, Persephone said, and threw her clothes at Patrick. Patrick came toward her fast. Persephone braced herself for a blow by raising her fist up in front of her face as if she knew what he was going to do. Patrick reached up. Persephone tried to snatch his fist away from his grasp. In doing so, she hit herself in the lip. Of course, she blamed Patrick. Look what you did, Persephone said, sucking her lip to see if she could taste blood. What I did? Come on, girl. You know you ought to quit. Patrick took a few cautious steps back toward Persephone. He took her chin in his hands gently and raised it up to have a look. First, Persephone resisted, but he wasn't having it. She finally poked out her lower lip, the one in question, and waited for his opinion. Yep, damn, just what I thought, Patrick said, almost whispering. It looks like a plucked chicken's butt. Persephone playfully slapped his hand away and started to laugh. Soon they both were laughing. The two managed to call a truce, and after sharing a joint and finishing the wine, they talked about their dreams for the future as an old Al Green cassette provided some musical flair. All of this happened on top of Patrick's big king-sized bed, which had the most comfortable mattress Persephone had ever let her body rest on. She had managed to lotion up and even brush her hair and apply a little lipstick and mascara before Patrick had returned to the bedroom from a trip to the bathroom. When he went to the kitchen for more wine, Persephone decided to take a what the hell approach. She quickly grabbed the red silk teddy from her purse and slipped it on. Ooh wee, me, ooh wee, Patrick sang out in his blues man voice when he returned to the bedroom and found Persephone curled up on the bed. Gene Harris was playing on the cassette player now. Persephone had mentioned to Patrick the night before that she loved the great jazz pianist and thought it was more than coincidence that the tape was playing. Patrick smiled his sly smile and walked toward Persephone, extending a half-filled wine glass to her.